Hello everybody, let me tell you a new story today. Today's story comes from Xiong. Little Bear is the direct translation of his name. Let's call him Xiong. This is an event he experienced firsthand. Xiong is from Xinjiang, a province with a very large area of 1.63 million square meters. The vastness of Xinjiang is equivalent to 16 Zhejiang provinces, 14 Fujian provinces, 10 Jiangxi provinces, 9 Guangdong provinces, 4 Yunnan provinces, etc. To use Beijing, Shanghai, Guangzhou, Washington, D.C. as examples, Xinjiang is equivalent to 100 Beijings, 260 Shanghais, and 223 Guangzhous, 9,200 plus Washington, D.C. Xiong works in Aksu in southern Xinjiang, but his parents are in Bole County in northern Xinjiang. The round trip by car is 3,000 kilometers. Xinjiang is vast, and so is China. I've never been to Xinjiang. The first time I read this story, I thought the number were wrong. But after checking, they were correct. A one-way trip of 1,500 kilometers is approximately 1,000 miles. This incident occurred during the Mid-Autumn Festival in 2016. It is a traditional Chinese holiday, and it coincided with the local Carbon Festival in Xinjiang. Xiong got a 7-day vacation and was very happy, deciding to drive back to Bole County to see his parents and family. Everything went smoothly on the trip from Aksu to his hometown in Bole. The vacation was pleasant, and the family was delighted because he had to return to work on September 18th. He planned to leave Bole early on the 16th. Passing through Urumqi, the capital of Xinjiang, without entering the city to rest, thinking about getting to Aksu early and resting there. However, those were the last 2 days of the holiday, and there were many cars on the road. Xiong was stuck in a traffic jam at the Urumqi toll station for 3 hours. As a result, he had no time to rest. After passing the congested area, it was already dark, and he hadn't eaten. In a hurry, Xiong decided to keep driving. After Urumqi, the next city was Kule, so he navigated to Kule. The navigation offered a route he had never taken before, but it was over 100 kilometers shorter than his usual route. He zoomed in on the navigation software interface and saw that it was also a major road, G216, only lower grade to the expressway. G is the first letter of Chinese word Guo. It means national road. Saving over 100 kilometers would save more than 1 hour, so he decided to follow the navigation. He was unfamiliar with this road and had never taken it before. Once on the road, he regretted it because the road conditions were particularly bad. He thought that maybe only this section of road was bad, and it might get better as he went along. Continuing forward, the road conditions remained bad, with ups and downs. G216. This is a national road. How could it be so bad? After driving 30 kilometers like this, he arrived at a village, and the road he was on passed right through the village. So he continued driving. Entering the village, Xiong found that the village gave people an uncomfortable feeling. Why? There were many street lights on both sides of the road, but they were not bright, with a dim yellow color. These lights were covered with red lanterns. Red lanterns are not strange, perhaps to celebrate the Mid-Autumn Festival or Carbon Festival, but the entire village was pitch black. With no sign of life, not a single house was lit. No one was seen, and not even a single dog. There was no sign of life, as if there were no living people at all. Xiong felt a bit scared, but he comforted himself that maybe the villagers went to bed early. He continued to drive past the village, and unfortunately, the road ahead was even worse. The road was full of transverse grooves, and the surface was damaged in various ways. Moreover, Xiong had already driven onto a mountain road with a cliff on the left. The road was very narrow, barely enough for two cars to pass each other, with no guardrails or any protective measures, and no streetlights. Fortunately, it had just passed the Mid-Autumn Festival, and the moon in the sky was still quite bright. It drew slowly like this, passing several roads, maintenance stations along the way, but they were not lit, and there were no people. He drove for a long time without seeing another car, as if he was the only living person within dozens of kilometers. He felt very uncomfortable, but could only continue to move forward. Driving further, he saw a sign, Urumqi Water Source Protection Area. Seeing this sign, Xiong knew that he was now in the deep mountains. He had to drive more carefully because there were wild animals around here. If it were me, I wouldn't dare to drive. Just thinking about it is terrifying. Some people might ask him why not turn back. He had already driven for a long time, and it was very late, so he could only persist in driving forward. Driving further, at a fork in the road, another sign stopped Xiong. When he saw the words on it clearly, he almost fainted from anger. It said, "Landslide ahead, please turn around." Xiong was furious. Having wasted so much time, he cursed in anger, but had to drive back. On the way back, he saw something by the roadside. On the edge of the cliff on the right side, something seemed to be shaking there. He was curious. There were wild horses and wild boars in this area. Xiong wondered if something had come onto the road. Okay, slow down and approach. When Xiong was about 10 meters away from this object, he finally saw clearly that it was a child. A little boy, about 12 or 13 years old. This little boy was sitting on the edge of the cliff, not sitting still, but with his feet dangling over the edge, swinging his legs outside of the cliff. His hands were clapping, one up and one down. Xiong did not see what this child looked like. He saw the right side of his face. He was wearing a blue windbreaker. Xiong was very worried about this child. He wanted to shout, "Hey, it's dangerous." Just as the words were about to come out, he looked at the time subconsciously. 3 a.m. And he got goosebumps all over his body. If this were daytime, he could barely understand it as a tourist watching the scenery. But now it is the middle of the night, with no one or cars within 100 kilometers in front or behind, and a child sitting here for no reason. Damn it, it is a ghost. Xiong stepped on the pedal and sped up, not caring about the bit road, and rushed back to Urumqi. Then took the familiar road to Xinjiang County. When he arrived at this place, Xiong was exhausted, and if he continued to drive, he might have an accident. He found a hotel to rest, parked the car at the hotel entrance, and got out of the car to get something from the trunk to take into the hotel. But he was scared again because there was a handprint on the trunk. After rushing on the road all day, there was a thin layer of dust on the trunk, and this handprint was exceptionally clear. Xiong compared his hand with the handprint and was even more frightened. It was not an adult's handprint. It was too small, a child's handprint. He took out his phone and took a picture of the handprint, then took a bottle of mineral water and washed the handprint away. He went into the hotel to rest. After resting, he left the hotel and saw that his car was fine, so he continued driving to his workplace in Aksu. Fortunately, no more incidents occurred. This is the strangest thing that Xiong experienced on the G216 National Road on his way back from his parents' house during the Mid-Autumn Festival in mid-September last year. To this day, he still cannot explain this situation scientifically. The 12 or 13 years old who appeared on the cliff edge of the desolate road in the deep mountains, and the inexplicable little handprint on his car's trunk. He cannot think of an explanation. But every time he thinks about it, he's scared. After he came back, he told many friends and colleagues about this, and everyone found it incredible. A friend who was familiar with the G216 National Road told him that road basically has traffic accidents every year. There are vehicles falling off cliffs. He was very scared and grateful that he did not have an accident on that road, which was real lucky. But Xiong said, "I will never take this road again in my life." Okay, everybody, this is the end of the story. Please share what you think of this story and your stories. If you enjoy my work and would like to help me continue to bring this story to you, please subscribe to my channel or like my page. Give a thumbs up to the stories you appreciate and share your thoughts, opinions in the comments. I'd love to read them. Share the stories with anyone who might find them enjoyable. And everyone, I need a co-editor, a native English speaker, to make my stories better. Thank you, everyone. This is Alex's Story Time, and I am Alex. I got a lot of good stories to share with you. Thank you. See you next time. Bye-bye, everyone.